Okay, good morning. So as you would have seen, we have announced the first assignment marks. So since it is a lot of manual corrections, there might be some mistakes. So if you think there is something wrong, you just ask us. But first, before you do that, I have already announced the assignment key. So that's a video that I have shared with you some time back. First, have a look at the complete assignment video key, and then you see if there are still any discrepancies according to you. Then you can mail or you can just in the Google Classroom, you can just privately ask us what is the question, or where your marks have been deducted, and we will tell you exactly the details. Okay, so yeah, so just the first you start looking at the assignment key first. Okay, then you can approach us. All right, so let's begin. Most people are here, so let me share my screen. Okay, so all right, so what we have been doing in past few weeks is we have been studying what is called as random variables. Okay, so we have been studying about random variables, and we know that this is a function. Random variable x, for instance, is a function from omega to r, right? This we saw, and then we further saw that you can. So we first studied the type discrete. We are studying now discrete random variables. So this is all those random variables where x of omega, the image of your sample space, this is finite, or this is countably infinite, right? So this is what we have been doing. Then we also saw what is called as probability mass function. So this is like you have the entire sample space omega, then you have the real line. So for every like you take a bunch of points, you collect that and you map it. If it goes to a single point, you just look at what's the probability. Suppose if this is x1, so you look at what is px of x1. So you draw this basically. So this is called as probability mass function, or for the short form PMF. Then we also looked at so PMF has a property, since your every omega is mapped to somewhere in R. So if you just sum over all the points in the image, okay, so if you do something like this, you are going to get 1. Okay, this is very similar to one of the axioms. So entire omega, the probability of that is 1. So if you just sum over all the things that are in the image, you will still get 1. Then we also looked at what is called as the expectation. Okay, so E of x. So all this is for discrete random variables. We will look at continuous random variables later. But for discrete random variables, this is defined as x, small x, px of x. Okay, and x going over all the x of omega. So we discussed like what is an interpretation for this. So one interpretation is this is like a single best approximation to the distribution. So single number which represents the distribution, that is one way to think about it. The second way is you can think of it as center of mass. Okay, so both these things are legitimate ways to think about it. And we also studied two particular types of discrete random variables, which is one is called geometric, and we also saw binomial. Okay, so this is so far what we have been doing. So let's just continue from here. So meanwhile, are there any questions in discrete random variables? Okay, so I will assume that there is no questions. So now let's, so we know what's a binomial random variable, right? So binomial, so this is, you are going to do n repetitions of an experiment. The probability that one of the experiment is a success, this is probability of success, right? This is probability of success. So binomial is you are counting how many successes happen. So if x is the binomial random variable, the values it can take is 0, 1, 2, all the way up to n. And then we also saw what is the PMF for this. So this was Px of, let's say, k is equal to n choose k, 1 minus p to the power of n minus k, p power k. Now, one special type of binomial is Bernoulli. So Bernoulli is a special type of binomial, which is where we just do one repetitions. We just do it once. The probability of success remains the same. Now, similarly, x can take only 0 or 1. There are only two possible values. And px of 1, that means one success has happened. This is equal to probability of success, which is p. And px of 0 is 1 minus p. Okay. Now, if you sum this, if you add this up, you can see this is 1. So that property is true. And ex, expectation of x for this is, we can do this. So 1 into p plus 0 into 1 minus p. So expectation of x for Bernoulli. So this is what we are discussing now is Bernoulli, which is special type of binomial with just one repetitions. So expectation of x is p. Okay. So we have now introduced the third type of discrete random variable. So let's talk about a few more which are important. Let me just go through that. So you will study more about this in the assignments. So the next type that I want to discuss is called as Poisson. So Poisson is a very important random variable. We will have a complete unit dedicated to Poisson and related phenomena at some point. So the idea of Poisson is, this is very applicable to companies, especially if the company has some kind of a customer queue. Okay. So if customers arrive, like Flipkart, for example, right? So there are, for a given time window, many customers will arrive to the platform, and then you are supposed to manage the customer traffic and show them proper pages. So if you want to do some kind of a study, then the best random variable that you should get familiar is called Poisson. Okay, so this is very, very useful. It's used in what is called as queuing theory. So we will not go into queuing theory, but we will look at some of the interesting properties of Poisson, but at some other point. But for now, let me just explain what is Poisson by giving its PMF directly. Okay. So Poisson has a parameter lambda. So this is a Greek letter. It is called as lambda. Okay. I think there's a B also. I'm not very sure, but it's called as, yeah, I think it's lambda. Okay. So this is a Greek letter, lambda. You write it by drawing this way and then putting a tail. Okay. So this is a parameter greater than 0. And now you can define the entire random variable x. Suppose if x is a Poisson, so this is a notation to say x is a Poisson. Okay, so this is a new notation I'm introducing. This is called as the tilde. So x is a Poisson random variable with lambda. Then, okay, px of k, which is actually probability that x is equal to k. This is given by this particular formula, e power minus lambda to the power of k by k factorial. Okay, and k can take any of these. I'm sorry, this is not there. So This is okay. Let me just clear it for it's not looking nice. So it's e power minus lambda, lambda to the power of k by k factorial, and the x, the range of x is 0, 1, 2, and so on. It can take any countably, one of the countably infinite values. Okay. So let me just repeat. Poisson is a random variable that is used in measuring what is called as customer arrivals. So you are looking at arrivals. Okay, so any arrivals where you have a queue, it appears in a subject called as queuing theory. So it is useful there, and it is characterized by a single parameter called as the lambda. So lambda is also called as rate parameter. You will learn more of this later, but just to get some introduction. So if x is a Poisson with a parameter lambda, then px of x is equal to this particular number. Okay. So now we can check. So we are going to do the check to see if we sum up over all possible values of k, does it give a value 1? So that is one of the properties of PMF, right? So let's check that. So Px of k equal to 0 to infinity is equal to, okay, e power minus lambda to the power of k by k factorial. K is equal to 0 to infinity. Now e power minus lambda we can take out. Then what is left is again k equal to 0 to infinity, lambda to the power of k by k factorial. Now this is actually the definition of e power lambda. So that is why this is e power minus lambda into e power plus lambda. So when you multiply this two, you will get e power 0, which is equal to 1. Okay, so this is the Poisson random variable. I know this is not having a nice meaning as binomial had, as geometric had, or as Bernoulli had, but this, the meaning that comes in this random variable, we will discuss at a later point. Okay. So yeah, so let me just move on. So please interrupt me if you have any questions so far. Okay. So let's now try to understand a few more things around the discrete random variables, a few important concepts that are here. Yeah. So consider an example like this. So let's consider a random variable of this form. So x is a random variable. It takes 3 values. Okay. So it is 100, 50, or minus 1000. Okay. The probability with probability 0.5, with probability 0.49, with probability 0.01. So what we have written here is a PMF. Okay. See now, the if you remember, right, the motivation for a random variable was through as a function from some sample space to R. Okay, that is what we started off with, right? So we talked about looking at, in case of geometric, we were talking about how many times do you have to repeatedly do a coin toss till you see a head. So there was always a sample space omega, but slowly you will see that we will not focus much on the sample space omega anymore. So you know x is from omega to R, right? So we will not focus more on this omega anymore. We will directly work with PMF. So this is something that will happen because you are studying random variables. It's not important to just look at the sample space. We can just look at PMF, and all the things that you can answer with the PMF. Okay. So the underlying omega, the importance of is always there, but that if you don't specify that, that means the random variable is quite general. Okay. All right. So let's do the first simple calculation here, which is expectation of x. So what is expectation of x here? So just I'm showing this because you should get familiar with doing these calculations. So it is px of x, okay, and x takes values in 100, 50, or 1000. So let me just write this. So this is 100 into 0.5 plus 50 into 0.49 plus minus 1000 into 0.01. So if you compute this, let me know if I have done any mistake. So this is sorry, this is 25, close to 25, right? So I'll assume that it is approximately 25, okay, minus 10. So this is approximately 65. Okay, so expectation of fx, if you see, the original interpretation that I was telling you is like a single number that represents the entire distribution, right? So the distribution is 100, 50, and minus 100. But since the mass here is very low, the expectation is coming somewhere in between these two values. Okay, so that's the motivation of expectation of x. All right. Now what we are going to do is, now we are going to construct a new random variable. So let's talk about what is the next topic, which is called as functions of random variables. You will see many different functions of random variable later, but we will look at a simple example to start with. Okay, so this is the random variable in question, but now the function of depends upon x. So what we will do is we will define a function y, which is a function of the original random variable x. So since x is a random variable, y will also be a random variable. Okay, I hope this idea is clear. So let's take an example and let's see what we can understand from that example. Okay, so let's take an example like this. So y takes two values. It's 1 or 0. Okay, so it is 1 or 0, but its value is, it is depending upon what the value x takes. So if x is greater than 0, it takes a value 1. If x is less than or equal to 0, it takes a value 0. All right, so that is the random variable that we are going to study. Now if you see, we can actually draw the characteristics of y. So let's do that. So x can take three values: 100, 50, and minus 1000. Okay, px of this small x, this is 0.5, 0.49, this is 0.01. Now we can write y, which is equal to g of x, which is equal to, so now I'm introducing a new notation. This is called as an indicator function. Okay, so let me write this. This is called as the indicator function. So in the indicator function, in the curly braces, you will give a condition. Whenever that condition is true, okay, that indicator function will take a value 1. Otherwise, it will take a value 0. Somebody tried to come into the meeting. Okay, it's all right. Okay, so that is called as an indicator function. So the indicator here is x is greater than 0. So we can see that for these two values, x is greater than 0. So y will take, what are the values it will take? It will take 1 for these two and 0 for here. Okay, so now we have to, the question what we are interested to do is we want to find out expected value of y. So if you remember, the expected value of y is, you have to look at all the possible values y can take and you sum over all those values, py of y. So this is what we have been studying as the formula. So to do this, so let's try to put what values y will take. So we know indicator function can only take two values, 0 or 1. Okay, so probability of this 0 is what? So 0, it will happen only when x is this one. So the probability is 0.01. And for the rest of the values of x, it will be positive. So this will be 0.99. Okay. So now using this formula, you can calculate that expected value of y is equal to 0.99. Okay, 1 into probability of y. But the idea that I'm trying to teach is that you don't have to go into this route. What we can instead also do is expected value of y, which is equal to expected value of g of x. We can also do it by doing this formula. Okay, this is small x, p capital X of small x. So instead of doing the computation in the new table in this manner, we can actually do the computation here itself. So instead of summing over all the possible values of y, you sum over all the possible values of x, compute the g of x, and then compute this entire form. Okay, so x can take 3 values, right? So when x is equal to 100, g of x is 1. Okay, into probability of x being 100 is 0.5, like this. Then when x is equal to 50, g of x is 1. So that is why this is 1. And probability of x of that is 0.49. Okay. And then finally, when x is minus 1000, g of x is 0. Okay. And the probability that happens is 0.01. And if you compute and see, this is going to be the same number, 0.99, whatever we got from the usual formula. Okay. So the main takeaway of this entire discussion that I did here is that expected value of g of x, which is a different random, which is a function of the original random variable x, is equal to g small x of px of small x, x in the range, whatever possible values it can take. Okay, so this is the point that I wanted to make. I guess this is very easy to see, but I just wanted to show an example for this. All right. So the usual, any method for computing expectation of gx, what you need to do is you write down all the values of x. Okay, all the possible values like small x1, small x2, small x3, like this. You write what is px of x, some p1, p2, p3, like this. Then you write gx values. Okay, so y1, y2, y3, like this. And expected value of g of capital X. Okay, since it's a random variable, we are writing capital X here. Is just you are going to do y1 p1 plus y2 p2 and all these things. So this is the general idea that I wanted you to have. Okay, is this clear so far? Any questions still here? Anybody? So was this discussion fast? How is it going? Everybody comfortable?
Yes, sir.
So the indicator function that I was talking about is this y, which is written in indicator x greater than 0. So did I answer your question? I don't know what you were asking. Siddhant? Okay, you got the answer. All right. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about the next concept, which is called as variance. Okay, so let's do that. Choose a different color because there's a good topic change. So variance. Okay, so now we understood that expectation of x is like the center of mass and center of mass. All this interpretation we had, but we don't know how we want to measure. Okay, we want to understand the spread. Okay, so yeah, so we may actually so See, why we want to understand the spread is you can have, so let's take two examples, okay, X, okay. Let's take two random variables. So, so let's say X takes a value. So this probability is 0.5 and this is 0.5, okay. So Ex, so this is Bernoulli. So this is, if you don't have to do any computation, we know this is 0.5. Okay, now take another example where this is 0.25. Then 0, it takes a value of, with another 0.25. Okay. Then let us say it takes a value of 10 power 6 with probability 0.25 and 10 power minus 6 with probability 0.25. Okay. So one is plus 10 power 6 and another one is minus 10 power 6. Now, if you just do the computation, E of y is also going to be 0.5. Okay, just because of the way I have written this, it will also be 0.25. I hope it is correct. Okay, we can make, so, okay, let's just be careful here. So this we will make it as 0.5. This is, yeah, so we have to be careful, but you get the idea. So 0.1, yeah. So with this probability, so there are two random variables. Let me repeat what I was saying. So there are two random variables. One random variable is your standard Bernoulli. Okay. So it takes value 1 with probability 0.5, value 0 with probability 0.5. So expected value of X is 0.5. Another random variable is a strange random variable that I have written. It takes a value 1 with 0.5, 0 with probability 0.1, 10 power 6 with probability 0.2, minus 10 power 6 with 0.2. For this random variable also, the expected value of y is 0.5. Okay. So what is the point of this example? I wanted to show you that just
Sir,
yeah,
just
go ahead.
over here 10 to the power 6 and minus 10 to the power 6, I guess.
Yeah. Minus 10 to the power of 6. Sorry, not minus 10 power. Yeah, correct. Okay, yeah, that's correct. Thank you. So anyway, so the point that I'm trying to make is just looking at expectation does not give you a full picture. We need to understand a little bit more to be, see, what is the purpose? See, whenever you look at any customer data, if you are doing any machine learning algorithm, right, you will have tons and tons of data. Okay. And you want to summarize it into a single or a bunch of numbers. Okay. That's the whole idea, right? When you are talking about average salary of a citizen, that is like one number, but how much is the variation? Like there could be a person who is extremely rich and there could be a person who is very poor. Okay, single number is not a good representation. So we need to have another number which gives the full picture. That other number that I'm trying to motivate is called as the variance. Okay, so what is the definition of variance? So variance is defined as the expectation of x, okay, minus ex whole square. Okay, so let's just spend some time trying to understand this. Okay, so x is the original random variable, ex is the expectation. So what I'm trying to study is like the difference between the original random variable and the mean, and then look at the square distances. Okay, so that expectation is called as a variance. So let's just take a simple example and understand this a little better. Okay, so let's take the Bernoulli case itself. So you have x, it takes value 1 or 0. Px is, Bernoulli takes this with probability p, right? And this is 1 minus p. Now, we know expected value of x, we know what it is. So that is p. Now I have shown you how to take expectation of any g of x, right? You remember we did this computation. So now g of x is nothing but our variance. So g of x is expected value of x minus ex whole square. So g of x is this, x minus ex. Okay, so what is the value? So x is 1. Ex is P, so this will be 1 minus P. Okay. And again, X is 0, 0 minus P. So this is minus P. And thus we have to square it. So this is square and this is square. Okay. So this is G of X. Now let's compute the expected value of X minus Ex whole square. So that is going to be P times this, P into 1 minus P whole squared plus 1 minus P times minus P squared, which is P squared. Okay. So let's do some simplification. We will take P into 1 minus P as common factors. So what you will get here, 1 minus P, and in the second one, you will get plus P. Okay. So this is P into 1 minus P. So this is called as the variance of X. Okay. It's also written as, the notation for this is called sigma X. So sigma squared X. Okay. So this is called as a variance. So it's pronounced as sigma. All right. This is a small sigma. The other sigma that you would have seen is the big one. So this is small sigma. Okay. So let's again see what it means. Okay. How does that show the spread? Let's understand that. Okay. Let me ask somebody here. So X is a Bernoulli. The chance of a success is P. Now, if P is close to, okay, if P is approaching 1, are you more confident or less confident of the outcome? See, you're doing an experiment. Okay, it's a random experiment. You don't know what is the outcome beforehand because that is random. Now, my question is, as P approaches 1, are you going to get more confident about predicting the outcome, or are you going to get less confident? Yes, anybody has any views? Okay. Okay, so everyone seems to understand that when you are when P approaches 1, you are more confident. You are able to predict that mostly you will get output 1. How about when P approaches 0? Is it more confident or less confident? Are you more confident of predicting the output?
More outcome confident for
Yeah.
0.
More confident, but instead of more confident for 1, you are more confident for 0. Trisha, is it clear? It's more confident. Just that you are more confident for 0 instead of 1. Everybody understands this? All right. So I'm assuming it's okay. Very good. All right. So that's it. So now if you see let me ask this. So for which P are you having least confidence? Which P are you having least confidence? Can someone tell me now? Anybody else? There seems to be a consensus. 2 people have said 0.5, but does everybody agree that it is 0.5, or somebody else wants to propose a different value? Is this clear? So 0.5, okay, if you look at the variance, that gives us the picture completely. So if you see P into 1 minus P, okay, is the variance of the Bernoulli random variable. Okay. And this one, if you plot it, so between 0 and 1, it will take a value 0 for both 0 and 1, and it will peak at probability P equal to half. Okay. So now you understand that variance is actually the representation of the spread. All right. Is that okay? Any questions here? Okay, so I'm assuming people are comfortable. Yeah. So let me just ask who have not. So Anushri, Twisha, do you understand the idea of variance? Gunjan? Okay, all right. So that is the thing, right? So what we did, let me just recap. So for variance, we wanted to study what is the error that you get when you try to approximate x with ex, right? So you are trying, there is x, you're trying to approximate with ex. Okay, there can be a positive error, there can be a negative error. Okay, so that's why we square it, because we don't want to positives to cancel with negatives. Error is an error, right? So you want to cancel the positives with the negatives. That's why we square it and then we take the expectation. All right. So that is what we did here. And we took a very specific example of Bernoulli. So Bernoulli, the expectation of x is p. The error of approximating 1 with p is 1 minus p. So that's why it's 1 minus p squared. And error of approximating 0 with p is minus p. So the error, the squared error is p squared. Okay. And then we computed the variance, which is turns out to be p into 1 minus p. Okay. And we can see very clearly, as p approaches 1 and as p approaches 0, the variance is also approaching 0. Okay. So variance of x, which is Bernoulli, approaches 0 as p approaches 0 or p approaches 1. And the maximum value that it takes is when p is equal to half. All right. So this is the idea. So variance measures the spread. Expectation is a single best approximation. So that is the picture that I want you to develop. Okay. So now we can do one more example and just try to see how to do the variance computation. Okay. Let's take a company. Okay. This company, people have four salaries. So somebody makes 10 rupees, and then some other people make 100 rupees, and then some other people make 1000 rupees. Okay, so there are only 3 salaries in this company. Okay, now we can say what is px of this x. So this is point, let's say 0.8. Okay, this is 0.1 and this is 0.1. Now, so this is a example I'm taking. Now, what is expected value of x? Again, we can do the computation. It is 10 into 0.8 plus 100 into 0.1 plus 1000 into 0.1. So this turns out to be 8 plus 10 plus 100. Okay. So this is 118. So this is my ex. So now if I want to compute the variance of x, what I need to do, I need to compute expected value of x minus ex whole squared. This is what I need to do. So first thing I need to do is I have to do x minus ex squared here. Okay. So x is 10. 10 minus 118 squared. So that will be 10 minus 118 squared, which is equal to 108 squared. Then, okay, 100 minus 118 squared, that is 18 squared. Then finally, 1000 minus 118 squared. Okay, so that is 992. Is that correct? (982). Okay, whatever. So this squared.
So it is 882.
Okay. So 882 squared. All right. So okay. So now if you want to do variance, so the computation is easy. This is 108 squared into 0.8 plus 0.1 into 18 squared plus 0.1 into 882 squared. So this is the way you can quickly compute variance of x. So it is some number. I'm not interested in that. I just wanted to show you the steps that is involved to compute such a quantity. Okay, so this is a reasonably high number, which means that the distribution is quite spread out. Okay, so now if you see, if this x was in rupees, the units of x was in rupees. Okay, expectation of x is also in rupees, right? But the variance, if you see, since we are squaring it, this is in rupees squared. Okay, so because of this reason, okay, and because of the reason that will come in the future, trust me, it will come, we are also interested in what is called a standard deviation of x, okay, which is nothing but square root of variance of x. So the notation for variance of x, if you remember a few slides ago, I was telling it is sigma squared. So the notation for standard deviation of x is sigma x, and the units is the same as the units of x itself. So this is called a standard deviation. So yeah, so these are some properties, some concepts that I wanted to talk about. Okay, any questions so far?
Sir,
Yeah.
in this we are getting a very high variance. So like the data will be like the data is very spread across the whole range. This
Yeah.
high variance means this. But sir, if we see the data, it's like probability of getting 10 is 0.8, which is much higher than getting 100 and 1000. So these two things like
Okay.
contradict each other. Yes, sir.
Okay. So you don't see, the idea of variance is you don't use that number based on the largeness or the smallness of it. You use it to compare this one versus something else. So what I'm saying is, suppose there was another company, okay, so which was, instead of 10, 100 and 1000, it was 1, 10 power 3 and 10 power 9. Okay, if you had this, the variance of this company in red will be much higher. You cannot just look at this number and conclude anything. It is used for comparisons.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Any other questions like this? Okay, good. So let's now talk about next concept that is important that we need to discuss here.
Sir, just one more
Yeah.
thing. Sir, if we draw the curve over here for this case,
Yeah.
the variance, will it have a peak? Will it have a peak over half, or will it or will it have a peak over 10? Like
So what is the
0.8.
curve you are drawing? What is the curve you are drawing? The PMF is it? What is the curve that you are drawing? Or
Yes, sir. The PMF curve. If you draw the PMF curve, will it have a peak over 0.5 or 0.8?
no, it will have peak on 10. On 10, it will be having a peak of 0.8, and on 100, okay, it will have a value of 0.1, and for 1000, okay, it will have a value of 0.1. So this is how the PMF will look. This
Sir,
is
what was the curve? What was the curve that we drew for understanding the concept of variance?
okay. So that curve that we drew. Okay, so let me just repeat that. So what we did for that curve is, like, we were looking at variance of Bernoulli. So we were looking at variance of Bernoulli. Okay. So then what we took was, so Bernoulli, general Bernoulli has two values. PMF, what it will look like is that it will have two values. At 0, the value will be 1 minus p. At 1, it will be p. Okay. So this is what a general Bernoulli will. P can take any values. P can be 0.1, it can be 0.7. Any of these values are permissible. Okay. So now what we did was, for the general Bernoulli, we derived a formula of variance in terms of P. So this is what we drove. We got a formula of the variance in terms of P. Okay. And then what we did was we plotted the variance with respect to this particular value of P, and then we saw where it peaks. Okay. So this is a different thing. So this is not a PMF that I drove here. This what we drove here was the variance as a function of P, how it will look. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. But the variance, can we draw the variance curve for this case as well?
Yeah, we can. So what we have to do is, instead of taking values like this, you have to take it as P1, then maybe P2, and this one as 1 minus P1 plus P2. Okay, and then you vary this and see which value gives you the maximum variance. You have to derive a formula for the variance of X in terms of P1, P2. Okay, and then see which value of P1, P2 will be giving you the maximum variance. You can do that. So variance of X, if you do, it will be some function of P1 comma P2. Is that clear, Siddharth? This is true, right? If instead of taking these fixed numbers, if I take P1, P2, I will get variance of X as some function of P1, P2. Is that all right?
Yes, sir.
So now I can plot in a two-dimensional figure, like I will have P1 and I will have P2 here, and then I will plot variance here. What I will do is I will use a color chart. So what that does is it will have one color, like typically red for high values, and blue for low values, and then you can plot where the peak happens. So something like that you can do. Okay, so you may have some blue regions here, blue regions here, blue regions here, and you will have some peaks here. Okay, so that something might happen and you can do. But what I did for the Bernoulli's case was just to make a case for why the variance is an important parameter. Okay, is that clear?
Just one last thing, sir. Like if we take the case of P1, P2 and 1 minus P1 plus P2 in that sense, then the essence of 0.8 and 0.1, this data, like we are not having this data, or we are not considering this data.
Okay, so 0.8, 0.1, 0.1 is one particular value of P1 and P2. Okay, if you want to study how the variance changes with different values, you have to replace that with some function, some variable. That's why we are taking it as P1 and P2. Okay. So likewise, even in Bernoulli, if I fix the value of P equal to, let's say 0.1, I will get one particular value of variance of X. Okay, why I kept it as P is I wanted to show you how P is changing the spread. That's the only reason. Okay, all right. So, okay, so let's quickly talk about briefly for some time about what is called as jointly distributed random variables. Okay, so let's go there. Okay, so let's look at a new type of, let's talk about what is called as jointly distributed random variables. Okay, so let's just take a simple example to understand this. Okay, so let us take a sample space omega as 100 randomly chosen citizens. Okay, you are just randomly choosing 100 people. Okay, I will call X as like a random variable. Okay, to denote family income. So this is in rupees. Okay. Then by is the random variable to denote the education level. Okay. So yeah, so there are different types of education level, right? So 5th standard pass, 10th standard, and then 12th, yeah, BTech, MTech, and so on. Okay, and family income, this could be like from approximately 0 to all the way to plus infinity. It can be any such values, right? So what we will do is, in order to make our lives little simpler, what we will do is we will convert x and y into what is called as categorical random variables. This is nothing, it is very simple. What I'm doing is I'm dividing this entire range of values into 3 possible values. So the lower one is called 1, the middle one is called 2, and the upper one is 3. Okay, so the categories that I'm considering is 1, 2, and 3. If you want to assign meaning, you can say this as low income, okay, this as middle income, and this as high income. So these are the 3 categories I'm defining. Y is, again, I will define 3 categories, 1, 2, and 3. Maybe less than or equal to 10th is one, graduate is the other, okay, and the other one is postgraduate. So some such thing I could do. Okay, now if I look at x and y, okay, there is a clear dependence, right? So if some citizen is having high education, there's a good chance that the income is also going to be high. Okay, it's not clear whether the income is high because of education or the education drove his the income drove his high education level. So whatever be the case, there is a clear dependence. So we can draw a diagram to indicate this. Okay, so this is x. So this is, first one is x and the second one is y. So this is one. So this is x values and this is y values. Okay. So now so I said we are doing for 100 people, right? So 100 people, we can assume like 70 appear here. So low education level and low family income. Okay. And then maybe 5 people are here, and this could be 8, 10, 11, you know. So this is 80. Okay, I have to just ensure that it sums to 1. So let's make it 60, 71, 81, 81 plus 8, 89, 93, 94, 95, 96, something like this. Okay. So this is so what does this box represent? So 60 is the number of people with education level as 1. Okay. And so this is x, and y is also 1. So there are 60 people with that in that group. All right. So just the way how we defined the probability mass function, we can now define probability mass function for a couple of random variables. So there are 2 random variables in question. Okay. So x and y, the values that they take are 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. Let me make some space. I want to be able to write all of this. Okay, so 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, like that. 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 1, 3, 2, 3, 3. Okay, so let me just clear this. Now we can talk about the same way how we talked about px. We can talk about px comma y, x taking the value small x, y taking the value small y. Okay, so let's put in these numbers. So how many people had 1 1? So we said there are 60 people. Totally there are 100 people. The probability that this happens is 0.6. Okay. Similarly, 1 2. Okay, so x is 1 2 is 8. So 0.08. 1 3 is 0.01. 2 1 2 1 is 0.11. 2 2 is 0.1. 2 3 is 0.01. Okay, so this is till 2 3. Then 3 1, x is 3, y is 1 is 0.04. 3 2 is 0.01. And last one is 0.05. Okay. So what is the point of all this discussion? So see, one single random variable, what you did was you used that to represent a population. You wanted to measure, right? Random variable, the whole idea of random variable is you wanted to measure how a group of individuals are, and you measure it and you just say something. But sometimes one measurement is not enough. You have to do two measurements. So when you do two measurements, those two measurements will be related, right? See, in a poor country, in a country that is developing, country like India, right, you will have more people in this bracket, in 1 bracket. But if you go to a developed country, you may have more people in around these brackets, right? So that's the idea. So when you don't, sometimes you don't have to just do one measurement, you will have to do multiple measurements. Okay, so those, when you do multiple measurements, they will behave the same way, just that you will have to look at the jointly the values that each of these random variables will take. Okay, and one easy property that all of you must be able to see is, like, if you sum over all possible values of x and y, okay, so pxy of x comma y, if you sum over all of this, you are going to get a value 1. Okay, this is the same thing that we have been studying, just that we are adding one more random variable into the mix. Okay, so let me just stop here, because I think this is a good point to stop. Okay, and then let me just pause for any questions. So for these joint random variables, do you have any questions? Anyone? Okay, so all right, so that's about it then. Okay, so let me just repeat, since a lot of new people might have come in. So we have announced assignment 1 answers to all of you. Okay, so there may be a possibility that there might be some discrepancies, but before you ask us what has gone wrong, I urge you to all see the assignment solutions that I have given. Go through that carefully. Even with that, there could be mistakes, because we are human. We might have made some oversight. So if there are any such issues, you just bring it to the attention of Varun and Rajat, and you can also put me in CC, and we can just check it. Either you can email us or you can just reply in the assignments. Okay, and we will have a look at what has gone wrong. So I feel like some students have collaborated. It is not good. Okay, if you, I'm going to ensure that you will pass by giving you something or the other. If your assignment is low, I can give you some additional help to make you come up to the mark. But if you cheat, then there is a problem. I cannot, my hands will be tied. So I urge you not to do any such activities. Okay, write your own answers. Even if you don't have all the answers, it is still fine. Okay, do your best, right? Okay, so yeah, so that's about it. So have a good lunch. So bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.